Hi everyone. I am coming to you today to talk about a topic that I've talked about before, and being the day that I had today, I need to talk about it, maybe expound about it, on it a little bit today. So again, the subject is boundaries, and I had to have a difficult conversation today with someone regarding boundaries. And the conversation was in regards to, I use myself as an example to the person, and how I learned about boundaries and different boundary violations, and how all conflicts are a result of a boundary being violated. And if we repair the unspoken message about what the boundary violation is communicating to the other person, if we fix that unspoken message, the conflict automatically resolves itself. And what we end up doing in relationships is arguing about a topic and not fixing the boundary violation or the unspoken message. So let me give you this example. I have a friend who is also a coworker. She likes to bake. She likes to bring everything in. And of course, it's delicious. There are people in the office who are, watching their weight. They're diabetic. We have people with health issues. And I have repeatedly asked her not to bring in food because I get complaints from the employees that it's just too hard for them to stick to their diet restrictions and weight loss programs and different things like that. And I have set a boundary with her regarding that. I've asked her not to bring food in and leave it on my desk. I'll come in, and I posted a picture this week where she has food on my desk. So those are constant boundary violations. The unspoken message when you violate a boundary is, I don't care about you. I don't care about what you want, what you think. I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. It's basically an F you or a middle finger to the person who set the boundary, just to be blunt. So when you're being disrespectful to somebody who set a boundary and who is now trying to maintain that boundary after it's been crossed by someone who has overstepped the bounds again, and that just repeatedly happens at work. And we had to get higher up involved just because it's just causing such a problem at work. You can't have the constant disrespect and I don't care what you think. I'm going to do what I want anyway. And she does it because she likes to do it, but she also gets her accolades and everybody will love me and things like that. She doesn't realize that she thinks because she's well-intentioned she can cross the line. As long as she's well-intentioned and she does what she wants, she just figures, well, I can do it. And then she explains how people are feeling by giving her intent. Well, when you give your intent, you are telling other people, you have no reason to feel the way you do because I didn't intend to do that. And basically, the unspoken message by giving your intentions is that I care more about what you think of me than how I have harmed you. And that adds more gasoline to the fire. You're dismissing the other person's feelings. You are explaining it away, giving your intent, rationalizing, justifying, excusing. Anything like that is dismissing other people and their feelings. So that's, what you constantly receive from her when you explain and ask her not to do it, and very next day, here's the food and it's brought into the office, left on my desk and things like that. And then I got a whole host of employees in my office complaining. So, and like I said, this is a close friend of mine. I know her. I know why she does it. She's very codependent. She takes care of other people. She likes to do that, but she doesn't know where the line is. And she can be quite suffocating. She doesn't, know when to not offer her opinion, her advice, her, comments. She doesn't know where the line is, particularly if she thinks that she has a good intention for doing it. So her good intentions give her permission to do it and allow her to think. Sorry. That is the motion detector over a rug, so that a puppy won't go on that rug. We are potty trained, so I apologize. So if you hear that, that's what that is. She went to get a toy or something. Anyway, so when there's that boundary violation, there, even when you're well-intentioned, no means no. When somebody's saying, please don't do that, and then you go ahead and do it anyway, you're really, the unspoken message that you are giving that person is, I don't care about you. I don't care. I want to do what I want to do, and I don't care how you feel about it. And I explained to her today, is that the message you want to communicate? Because that's what you're communicating, and people are reacting to the unspoken message. You want them to react to, oh, thank you, and because she's told me, oh, everybody's just ungrateful. No, we don't want the food. We're not ungrateful. Thanks for the thought, we don't want it. So rather than look at her behavior and how it affects other people and that they don't want it, again, it's pointing fingers away from her, because it's easier to say other people, everybody's ungrateful. My intent was, and stuff like that. She won't look at her behavior as being something that needs to be fixed or offensive. So when I addressed the issue of the unspoken message, and I told her, is that the message you want to be conveying to other people? Is, you don't matter to me, I don't care about what you think, I don't care about what you feel, and you're basically disrespecting other people and giving them the middle finger. And she shook her head, no, that's not, that's not what I want to communicate. So then I gave an example of something that other people have used with me, and I give examples in my life too as well. But I explained a father who took his young boy out to lunch. He's 5-year-old. He wants to go out with dad. He wants to, be with dad and be the man, and be the big guy and imitate his dad and everything else. So the boy was going out and having a dad-son day. And they went to lunch and they ordered a hamburger, and when the hamburger came to the table, the hamburger was pretty large, and the dad looks at the hamburger and sees this little boy picking up this large hamburger and everything just falling out and creating a big mess. The father did ask his son, do you want me to cut that for you? And the son said, no, I don't, because he wants to be like the big man, like his dad, needed like his dad, and he wants to be dad. That's who he looks up to, that's what he wants to be like. He doesn't want his hamburger cut. Who cares, it gets messy. So anyway, the dad reaches over and cuts the hamburger anyway, and then this big argument ensues in the middle of the restaurant, and the argument is over the hamburger. I told you not to touch my hamburger. I didn't want my hamburger cut, and but I'm trying to help you. it's too big, you know, you can't handle that, and so now they're arguing over the hamburger. But what the little boy was reacting to was the unspoken message and his value and worth in the eyes of his father. So if you fix the unspoken message, the problem resolves itself. And this man was a Christian, and they're fighting over hamburger in the restaurant. And the Lord spoke to him and said, what did you just communicate to your son? And the dad's thinking, you know, I'm trying to help him, that, you know, I'm his dad, I can see something's going to fail. And the Lord told him, you just communicated to your son, I don't value you. I don't value your needs, your wants, your feelings. And you dismissed him. And by dismissing him, it sent that message by cutting the hamburger after the boy just told him, I don't want you to do that. That's the message the son received, was he didn't matter in his dad's sight. And any excuse that the father gave about why he cut the hamburger only made it worse, because he's throwing gasoline on the fire. So he said in a moment the Lord showed him what he just did to his son's heart by dismissing him and violating that boundary. And but what I want to show you is you end up fighting over hamburger. If you resolve the unspoken relational message that was caused as a result of the boundary violation, the conflict resolves. And so I'm explaining this to my friend because she brought chocolate-covered strawberries and other things and put it on my desk. And she's trying to explain to me, well, I saw the treats and the chocolate-covered strawberries and blah, 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 and I brought it in, and, it was a nice gesture. I thought about you, and, that type of thing. And she wants to start arguing about the strawberries and her intent again. And I had to bring her back to, I'm not going to argue about the strawberries. I'm trying to explain to you that people are reacting to the message you sent. You don't value us when you overstep a boundary, when you give your opinion, when you violate, when you're commenting on something that's not within your fence. I use that little diagram about things that are within somebody's fence. So when you violate that boundary, you're communicating to people, I don't value you, you're not important to me, I'm going to do what I want anyway, F you. And you're giving them the middle finger. And I told her, you keep wanting to argue about the strawberry, and it's not about the strawberry. And this is what people do in relationships. You end up arguing about things like who's going to take out the trash. And really it's not about the trash. It's more about when somebody has chores or a job or something within a house and they don't do it, you end up arguing about the trash when the other person feels like they're not valued because you're not doing your part in a relationship within the household chores or whatever. They feel like you don't care about them. So, but you're arguing about taking out the trash. And what's really happening is the person feels neglected, not listened to, heard, and things like that. And that's what people are reacting to. It's not about the trash. It's not about the chores. It's not about, those types of things. Somebody is feeling a negative, you're communicating a negative message to them that you don't value them. And they're not important in your life. And that's what people are reacting to. So if you fix that message, then the whole hamburger, strawberry thing goes away. The trash, it's not about the trash, the strawberry, or the hamburger. If you fix the unspoken message and the relational message about their value and worth in your sight, the conflict gets resolved. So I went back and forth with this person today, trying to explain this, trying to explain the concept, and she was asked by the boss again, you have 1 day out of the month, you can bring something in, it has to be store-bought, you have to ask me, and it has to be approved because I need to know what's in it. Because you have people with health issues, diabetes, and things like that. So she has one day a month that she can do that, and she has to ask his permission, and he gets to enforce that boundary if she violates it, because she's not listening to me. So that conversation was had. You know, he had to end up calling her at night, had a conversation in the hallway and stuff like that, because there's just drama in the office, and it just, you know, people are reacting to that. You're not important to me. I don't care what you want. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. I'm going to do what I want anyway. And then if you say anything, you're ungrateful. Everybody's just ungrateful. So then when she starts arguing again today about the strawberry with me, I again reminded her, I'm not going to argue with you about the strawberry. It's the disrespect that you showed by bringing that in. The boundary was set, and you disrespected it, and you showed me how little I matter to you, and how little what I think or want or feel is to you. You did what you want anyway, and you're getting something out of, you know, bringing food in and getting your accolades from that. And you know, sometimes people eat it and they resent you for it because they don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want it. So anyway, as I was going down that rabbit hole with her, explaining the strawberries and the resolving the unspoken message, she goes back to, oh, don't you worry about it. I'm not baking another thing. I'm not bringing another thing in. Oh, everybody's going to see. So she's saying it like she's going to punish us for being ungrateful. She's still not seeing that she's the problem. And I had to look her right in the eye, and I had to tell her, you are wrong. You are wrong. You are the one violating the boundary. You are wrong. So that boundary has been set with you, and you have violated it, and you are the one who is walking amok and trespassing all over people's yards and not caring about trespassing, and you're the one who's wrong. So I also had to tell her, we have a friendship, we have a relationship, but I'm tired. I'm tired. It gets tiring trying to state a boundary, and then you're in my fence and in my yard, and you're running amok all over my yard, and I have to keep escorting you out. And then there you are again, and I have to keep escorting you out. And I told her, I have to distance myself with you. You're exhausting. And, so, I know she has conflicts. Of course, anybody who doesn't observe boundaries is going to have conflicts with their family members too as well, and she does. Her kids and their spouses are just like her, and she's cut them out of the will, and she's just like them. So, she doesn't see that she's the problem, and the reason why she doesn't see it is because she's well-intentioned. Her intentions allow her to not see a boundary, be absolutely blind to it, and to believe that she's a good person, and she's really not disrespecting people and saying F you. that her intentions in her mind allows her to violate boundaries. So it's an issue, particularly with people who are codependent, and with me, she's suffocating. I mean, I have to set boundaries with her because, you know, when I was first diagnosed with cancer, she wanted to go to my doctor's office with me. She wanted to go right in there with me. Well, sometimes you might not hear everything, and you know, and she's just so suffocating. She called me every day on the weekend, or if I didn't call her, she's, but you didn't check in, and I mean, she's suffocating, and smothering, and other people have complained at work, you know, if there's something on their physical appearance, she'll mention it, and you know, why this and that and that, and I've tried to tell her, it's none of your business. That is in their yard. Don't mention things that are in their yard. It's none of your business. They don't have to explain anything to you about what's in their yard. They don't have to explain to you why they have a Band-Aid on their finger, or why, you know, they're a bodybuilder, they got their veins sticking out. We had one guy in there like that. And they don't, you know, you're making remarks about people's body, but if I did that or somebody else did that to her and made a remark about, she'd be all up in arms. But it's okay for her to do that to other people. So so people get insulted when she does that, and you know, I had to explain that. When somebody has a fence around their yard, anything that belongs to them is theirs. Don't comment on it. Don't give your opinion. It's none of your business. Don't ask questions. People do not have to explain to you why they bought a certain car, painted their house a certain color, why they went into a certain career, why they like certain hobbies. People do not have to explain things to you. It's in their yard, and you know, you don't belong in their yard running amok. You're trespassing against them, and the Bible says rebuke them. Rebuke somebody who trespasses against you. And so I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to do this in a teaching manner, because that is how God made me. God made me as a teacher. And I always think if people understand something and understand the dynamics of what's going on, then they can fix things in their relationships, and mend those relationships, and not just in, you know, I teach the Bible and stuff too, but you know, the teacher in me wants to explain what's going on, and show the person, well, you know, this is why this is happening, and this is why you're getting the reaction from people that you're getting, and you are at fault. It's you. It's not everybody else. So, you know, I tried to explain to her, that's why your kids have ghosted you. That's why, you know, all this stuff is happening, because, you know, you tell your niece, don't have, you don't need to have any more kids. That's none of your business. You don't tell somebody how many children they should have. So that's kind of what she does. I know with me, it bothers me because she is always mentioning with me, last week she's telling me to eat. I had a doctor's appointment, and I wasn't allowed to eat before the doctor's appointment. And she told me, you know, I came in, I hadn't had my morning coffee, I haven't had my vitamins or meds, so I put my vitamins and meds in a bag, and I come into work, and the first thing I want is a cup of coffee. So I fixed my coffee, and I went into my office, and I'm, you know, down in my meds, and drinking my coffee, and she's, you need to eat, And if I go over to her house on holidays, I get told, oh, you didn't eat very much. So she's always telling me when to eat, what to eat, how much to eat. It's like she's monitoring what goes in my mouth, and it's really annoying. And I had to tell her today, look, all these years that I have been on the earth, I got the eating thing down. I got it. I don't need you to tell me when to eat, what to eat, how much to eat. Like, I don't even know. Like, somehow I don't know when I'm full, but you do. And I told her that's a boundary. Stop doing that. And that's why I don't want to. You're always pushing food on me. And I told her that's a boundary. I don't need that. And you know, I don't. To me, it's weird. You know, to monitor how much somebody eats or what they eat or how much. That's weird. It wouldn't even occur to me to pay attention to how much somebody eats, let alone remark on that they didn't eat very much, like I should be the judge of that. That would not even occur to me. But yet, whenever I'm around her, everything's about food and you know, monitoring what goes in my mouth. It's weird. It's weird. I'm just going to say it's weird. So that's just, you know, that's a boundary violation and saying things, you know, that's none of her business. So what happens is when you have relationships with those kinds of people, they close up, they push you away. They don't want to mention anything going on in your life because they don't want the opinions, the remarks, the comments, and things like that. They're going to push you away. So, you know, as far as relationships and boundaries, most of us weren't brought up being taught those things. I know I wasn't. I have done the years of work in counseling and healing. I have done years of that. So I'm very careful about who I let in my life, and when those boundary violations occur, I'm going to set a boundary and I'm going to establish it and I'm going to maintain the fence line. And if the person doesn't get it, then I can't have them in my life, particularly if they're going to gaslight me and then throw gasoline on the fire by telling me, you have no reason to feel the way you do because, and then they justify it or explain it away, give their intent or whatever, because they're more concerned about what I think of them than about the harm they're doing to other people. So that's very toxic. In any relationship, when you dismiss somebody else's feelings, don't take responsibility, call other people ungrateful, you know, now you're going to punish them by, I'm not baking anything now. And then she lists, even brownies, I'm not doing that. I've learned, I'm not. And then she's listing all the food that she makes that, you know, she knows people like, but they can't eat it. We have all these people with health issues and, you know, diabetics now and things like that. They can't eat it. Why on earth are they going to believe that you care about them and that you love them, and then you bring in brownies when they're struggling with, you know, a health issue like that? Are they going to think that you care about them? No. You know, that's like a drug addict or an alcoholic at work, and then you come in and you bring in wine or alcohol and set it on the counter in the lunchroom. I mean, you know, you're setting people up to fail. You're sabotaging what they need to do for their health and their weight loss programs and things like that. So they don't think that you love them or care about them. They're reacting. They're in my office because they're reacting to the unspoken message of, you don't care about them, you are going to do what you want anyway, regardless of what they think or feel about it, and you are the one who is wrong.